What's up, everybody? This is James Jimmy Hills. I'm the host of Java with Jimmy, and we are here this evening for a special episode of Java After Dark. I am here with the good brother, Stephen. I'm going to go ahead and throw the R because we were joking about that earlier. I gave him a new name, Stephen R. Pina. He is the CEO and founder of Never Not Working. He's going to tell us more about that later. But do me a favor, for those of you that are watching on Instagram, for those of you that are watching on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, personal page, Job with Jimmy page. This young man has a story, and also not just for young men, but just people in general. Those of you who care about those that you feel have been wrongfully convicted, they're in the process of trying to be exonerated, or they've been exonerated. He's going to give a shout out to some good brothers that, you know, support him. And so it's been a few months trying to get this set up.
About that.
On my, and I'm going to take this. It's been on our end.
Actually been a little bit longer than that, man. But it's cool. I mean, I have this thing that I've had for many years. When it's your time.
Yeah, I believe timing is everything.
God will put things in place for you. Sometimes it's a month down the line. Sometimes it's 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. But when it's your time, it's your time because of that.
I don't want to jump right in, but you know, you making that statement, given what you've been through, you say when it's your time, that's a level, given what we're going to talk about, that's a level of patience, that's a level of faith, that's a level of trust, that's a level of tolerance, level of anger, a level of that's a lot of stuff. And so we'll get into that, but I want to give you an opportunity just to greet the people. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and we'll go into Never Not Working because I think the story lends a lot to that. But let's like say hello, and then we're going to jump into like, who's Stephen?
Well, I'm going to say, I have a thing where I say my name is Stephen Pina name. So nice you got to say it. Twiz eyes.
I'm telling y'all now, there's going to be a couple of moments tonight that this brother's funny is.
But in formats and situations like this, I introduce myself as Commonwealth versus Stephen Pina.
Okay.
And I say Commonwealth versus Stephen Pina because I'm free, but I'm still fighting.
Because I'm aware, because I'm aware of some other brothers that are still fighting that, and my foot is shaking, I'm stuttering. So obviously, real quick, that's a little aggravating that you're still fighting with this cloud, you know, hanging over of it, you know, going back to, well, anyway, tell us who you are. Let's start a story before we jump right in, because I want folks to have the full context when we get into this and the exoneration and that cloud.
So, you know, in 1993, I had moved to Atlanta. My fiance at the time, my son's mom, she was 8 months pregnant. I was in the streets, and my dad was like, listen, man, you're about to have a baby on the way. You got to figure things out. Like, what is it that you want to do? Because, you know, you're going to be a dad.
Yep.
And he was going to visit my uncle in Atlanta, and he was like, well, you guys want to come down with us? So me and her, we were like, yeah, sure. We drove down. And while we were there, my uncle had just started a courier business. Courier business? Courier business.
Yep. Mail delivery thing.
Yeah.
Right? Yep.
And he was, you know, we're at the house, and he was like, listen, man, I got a job for you. If you want to, you know, but you got to move down here.
Okay.
Went back to the hotel, and I said to my fiance at the time, listen, Unc got a job for me, but how do you feel about moving down here to Atlanta, Georgia?
Mhm.
She was like, cool.
Okay.
So I came back to Boston for like 3 weeks to handle some stuff. Ended up going back. And just like when we got our apartment, I got a phone call from my boy Joey, and he's like, listen, man, police are looking for you. You wanted for murder. Or no, you wanted they said you moved because of an attempted murder. I was like, what? Like, what are you talking about? Then an hour later, he calls me back. He said, bro, they looking for you for murder. And I'm like, murder? I ain't kill nobody.
Mhm.
Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
It was like something that happened down Mission Hill. And the only homicide that I remembered from Mission Hill was when Jimmy Clark got killed. I went to school with him, and I remember them grabbing the person who did that, and you know what I'm saying. So I'm like, okay, well, hung up the phone. Tears came down my face because I'm like, murder, like the ramifications of that. And I said something to my son's mom, again being 8 months pregnant. Ended up driving to my uncle's house and told my dad and my uncle.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad was like, okay, let me make a phone call. He made a phone call. He had some friends that were in the homicide unit. And, they were like, okay. Before that, though, I went to him. I called my mom and I'm like, Mom, have the police been by the house? And she's like, no, why? What's up? And I said, well, I just got a call saying I was wanted for murder.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm figuring if I'm wanted for murder, they're going to knock on her door.
Yep.
And
last known address.
Right. So there was this police officer who used to harass me all the time out of District 4. Okay. And I had my mom say, Mom, call District 4 and ask for this officer. And ask him, like, what's going on. Mm-hmm. She called and he told her, like, listen, yeah, Miss Pina, they're looking for him for murder. Have him call me at this number and ask for me, but say his name is something different.
Okay.
So when I called, I asked for him. He gets on the phone. I said, this is such and such. He said, yeah, Steve, listen, man, it's true. You wanted for murder. I know you're in Georgia. I know you didn't do it, but you need to come back and turn yourself in.
And this was, let's just say that this was an officer that used to mess with you, but he was giving you, didn't really believe it. Okay.
Right.
Yep.
This was 93. And from that phone call, I went to my uncle's house and talked to my dad and my uncle. Mm-hmm. He made a call and, we had just moved in and had to pack everything out. And I wanted, cause she was, like I said, 8 months pregnant.
Yep.
And due in October. And
what month was this?
This was 93.
What month?
She was doing October.
Oh, she was doing October. Yeah. What month was this going on? Where you got
this was October.
October. Oh, like okay.
The beginning of.
Yep. So she would. Yeah.
Actually, October 6th.
Okay.
Is when I turned myself in, but a day or two before that. And the thought process is, well, I want to be out for when my son is born.
Absolutely.
But then there was the fear of, I'm a fugitive of justice. So I don't want them, they already know I'm in Georgia. Mm-hmm. I didn't want them kicking the door in the middle of the night and then possibly her having a miscarriage. So it's like, okay, we're gonna drive back. I think it was 1,800 miles, 11-hour drive or something like that. And I was scared the whole time because damn, if I get pulled over in any of these states, it's gonna come back that I'm wanted for murder, and wherever we're at, she's stranded. You know what I'm saying? So it was difficult, but
so it wasn't just the streets that thought he moved to Georgia because of this. Law enforcement also had that same impression and then put a fugitive sort of tag on you.
Yeah. Like my dad believed that because I moved to Georgia, it kind of said, oh, he ran to Georgia because that happened.
Let me ask you one other question. You said Joey. We both know. I don't know if it's that Joey. A different Joey. Yep. So, do you think though a murder in Mission Hill? You said Joey, so I thought about that. A different Joey, but then 93, that time
it's crazy.
So, have you ever thought about the fact that fugitive put on you and them pinning this on you? came from a lot of what was going on in the city with the Joey that we know at that time.
It's possible. I'm not gonna say I was the goody two shoes. I was in the streets. Um,
But you ain't murdered nobody.
Nah, I ain't murdered nobody.
Yep,
Not at all, man.
Yep.
And you know, even me letting my lawyer know, like when I showed him the promo of me gonna be here, he said my other lawyer was like, just be careful what you say, because
Okay. Yes,
and it's cool. I'm not, everything about my case at this point is public record.
Okay.
But I still have to be cool in what I say about Suffolk County and things of that nature.
You can't say stuff.
It was crazy back then.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Harden Way, Mission Hill was like, as described by some witnesses, an open drug market.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Everybody was down there, and what's crazy is the night the homicide happened, I wasn't even in Mission Hill.
Because this, we usually go about an hour. We're not restricted to that at all. But I also, with you saying what you said with the lawyer, I don't want to delve too much into that, but just say that thought when you mentioned it was in Mission Hill, October of '93, bruh, that timing.
No. February
is when they said
when the homicide happened.
Okay. So yeah,
February is when it happened. And
that's 2 months.
The warrant, I believe, was issued in September.
So I was getting ready to say, you got these 7 months that went by. Of course, they got to do their investigation and due diligence, but there was no indication, no nothing.
There was a housing officer who, like the day after it happened, wrote up on me and said something like, somebody got shot down here last night. Mm-hmm. I thought it was you. And I looked at him and I'm like, bro, it wasn't me. Like,
meaning that you were the person that got shot and not the person that shot.
He thought it was me that
did the shooting. Okay.
And his thing was, yeah, I seen you run across the street and I chased you, but you got, and I was like, bro, like,
So okay, we'll because I want to.
It was crazy.
It just a narrative that is an experience that is very real, and we've seen others and locally as well, other situations. And so you get back here, you turn yourself in on October 6th, and also I got to say to you, while you've told your story a lot, and I've been around you, and you're doing well, telling us sometimes you don't know how and when it's going to hit. So if any point you take a break or whatever, just be like, Jimmy, do you, and we'll
You know what's funny, Jimmy? I'm part of Everyday Boston, which I was just telling you about. They set up conversation stations, but the woman who started that, Kara, she asked me the other day, like, do you ever get tired of telling your story? Mm-hmm. And I don't.
Okay.
And the reason why I don't, and I know you said we're going to wait till Never Not Working. But
flow.
I need people. When I was inside, there was a brother named Fuquan. I know you've heard the name.
Yes.
And Fuquan has done so many things for individuals incarcerated. Mm-hmm. I done seen brothers come in with this savage mindset and have matured and become positive role models. Mm-hmm. Come out here and become positive role models doing the right thing because of the knowledge that this brother gave. Mm-hmm. And he would go at it all, like he was always just working. And I remember getting this paper and it said, like a picture paper of a quote, and it said, Never Not Working. And I seen him and I said, yo, here, bro, this is you. Mm-hmm. I said, now, if I ever get up out of here, man, I'm taking that to the street to Never Not Working. So when I came home, I had this shirt made that said hashtag Never Not Working. Mm-hmm. And on the back, it said hashtag Other Side of the Wall. So for me, it was about, okay, I have to advocate about wrongful conviction.
Yes, sir.
one of my what I say all the time is people don't get involved with stuff they don't know about.
Yeah.
So if you don't know about wrongful conviction, you won't get involved with it.
Yep.
I say that this is the hidden epidemic that is seldomly, if at all, talked about.
It's interesting you say that because I'm trying to think who was the first person that comes to mind of exoneration was Sean. I don't remember his last name.
Sean Ellis.
No, before him.
Sean Drumgold.
Yes.
Yes.
That was then sort of a misnomer. Everybody's like, oh, the feeling of finally getting justice and things like that. Then it was Sean. Then, and I don't know the chronological order, and you might. One little caveat or question there: the brothers get a lot of attention. Are there sisters that?
Yes, there are. I can't say there's any that I know of in Massachusetts.
Okay. Do you know any that are fighting like you that because the brothers are coming home, and I don't see, and I know some sisters are, but I don't. It could be just because it's not happening, but I for some reason when we were working with Joey about when we did the thing at RCC, I had asked. We were kind of asking were there women that could talk. I'm just curious if there are any women fighting. And then in Massachusetts, you said you're not aware of any that have come home because of the fight.
Not on wrongful conviction, and I could be wrong.
Yeah.
I just haven't.
Okay. Yep. But it was you, Sean, a couple of others, and when you say the epidemic, that's when of this wrongful conviction and now being exonerated. But I can't.
Well, I got to make it clear, and we can speak into existence. I'm not exonerated.
You're not exonerated, and no. I believe in the speaking. Y'all type it in, speak it into existence too.
Into existence, man. I'm still waiting on a judge to make a final decision to overturn the conviction. So, I know you're like, what the hell? So, I'm home on what they call a motion to stay.
Yep.
Where they stay your sentence, and because my motion was based on prosecutorial misconduct,
yep,
and police misconduct,
yep,
and a miscarriage of justice.
Yep.
Not only that, there was DNA in my case that excludes me. So when we filed the motion to stay my sentence, it was in the judge's statement to release me. It's like there's a strong likelihood that I'm going to overturn this conviction. Now, I could still be sitting at MCI Norfolk. You know what I'm saying? But because the merits of my case were so strong with the miscarriage of justice.
So with that, okay.
That changes the whole, that changes. You're like, what the hell? What am I? Like?
Because I don't understand that, okay,
prosecutorial misconduct.
That one, the DNA, there's DNA that proves that you weren't involved, you weren't there, I don't, what in your mind or in your research, well, again, we can't talk a lot about it.
It's
I'm sorry.
It's one of them things where, right? I often, and I've said this.
Don't say nothing here you ain't said already. I won't be the one to get you in trouble.
I haven't said it publicly, but let's just say some things, man, and some people have common sense.
My grandmother used to say not so much, because if common sense was so common, it would be
right.
It's learned sense, and it's.
So that's like when you hear everything about my case, you say how people like when I first got convicted and went to Concord, there were people from Mission Hill that would say to me like, "Yo, I remember this group of guys walking by. I'm in the yard by the weight pit, and dudes was like, "Yo, we know you didn't kill our boy."
The weight of that, and come on, man. So if the streets, you got streets and DNA.
But see, at that time, this was crazy. At that time, there was no DNA in my case, and I'm gonna tell you. So I used to watch 48 Hours, Dateline, 2020. I used to watch all of those all the time. And I remember, I think it was Dateline. I was watching this show. this guy was convicted of murder and murdering a woman, and he dragged her in the field.
Yep.
That was what they said.
Yep.
And I guess raped her.
Yep.
His attorney at the time, I guess, came across this couple in Amsterdam who had discovered this thing called touch DNA. So touch DNA is if I touch this hat, my DNA is now on the hat.
Yep.
And it's called a STR short tandem repeat or something like that. I watched that. And at this time I had this woman named Florence Graves, who was a award-winning investigative journalist, teaching at Brandeis University at the Schuster Institute for Investigative Journalism. She wanted to get involved with criminal legal system and, you know, wrongful convictions and all of that, and got in contact with me. At one point, I had 16 students working on my case. But when I had seen this episode, I called her and I'm like, yo, did you see this thing on Dateline about touch DNA? Because the first thing that came to my head is, wait, witnesses testified that I grabbed this guy by the collar, that we struggled, and I then shot him. That's what was testified.
That's a lot of touching.
Then the gun that was used, they said the guy that shot him ran down the street, slipped, and dropped the gun. So now here's two things in my, I'm saying, well, damn, touch DNA, my DNA would be on that sweater.
And on the gun.
His hoodie or whatever.
Yep.
And on the gun.
And on the gun.
So that's like, yo, we need to have this tested. And that was a long battle to get that done. In the way that, so it's crazy because a lot of labs that test DNA, they have this thing called the threshold. So they test it, but there's a threshold like right in the middle of, if the peak's above the threshold, they can read.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Anything below that, they can't read. So the top threshold, the points or alleles from the top of the threshold didn't match me. But because the bottom ones they couldn't read, it's inconclusive. It's inconclusive. We can't say. These ones don't match them, but we don't know what those.
But if they matched you and the bottom one said different, it would have been conclusive.
So we had to go through like a long process. There was a company called True Allele. They don't use thresholds, and they, and we ended up sending it to them. And I had to fight. Luckily, Massachusetts had passed a bill 278A, which allowed individuals to request for DNA testing. They didn't have that. When that bill came, it was like, okay, you allowing it, I want this tested. Yes, and we had to go like hearings. And I remember the judge saying, is this a case where you're saying the defendant is innocent? And we were like, yeah. And the judge will say, so why wouldn't we want the DNA? The DA's office pushed back. They granted that. And we ended up getting True Allele, the cybergenetics involved. And it came back that it's not me. And I said to my lawyer, yo, that's enough. That's like, yo. And he was like, nah, that's not enough. And I will say, so I had CPCS Innocence Project working on my case. Florence Graves, after they had like a 360-page memo that they called the Innocence Memo. And the Innocence Memo had everything that pointed to me not being the murderer. Oh,
this memo wasn't a general. This was a memo specifically about your case.
About my case and the students' work and uncovering stuff. And it, Jimmy, it was when I read it, it was I'm looking at some shit that I never knew. You know what I'm saying? Yep. There was a car stolen that night that fit the description of the car used. There was a person who stole the gun from his dad that was used, who was arrested in this car. And this is like a lot of stuff we didn't know. So, and this is stuff that the police and the Commonwealth withheld, didn't turn over.
Leads to the prosecutor,
misconduct.
Say it again.
Prosecutorial misconduct.
Prosecutorial misconduct. Yeah.
So I did all of that, right? But I want to get back to
No.
to the NMW.
I want to get back to there, and maybe we'll talk about that. But I move in the mental health space. You and I know you're about self-care and whatnot. Where with your comfortable answering, like how the mental health of this. You remember Sybil back in the day? I think we're around the same age. I'm 52. How old are you?
I'll be 57 in September.
You're older than me?
Bro, black don't crack.
Black don't crack, even with all you've been through. They said the presidency versus process. Say it again.
No. Prosecutorial misconduct. I got some grades and stuff, but I'm black don't crack. I think in a lot of ways for some, prison preserves some individuals. Some dudes go in there and they just look old as hell.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thankful that I got good genes in my DNA.
Yep.
My dad doesn't look his age. My mother doesn't look her age. And I've gotten just over at this retreat that I just left. One of the facilitators there was saying, "You look like you like 40."
Yeah. I would never gave you 57.
You know what I'm saying? So,
but even more so goes to the question, the mental health from the phone call to you coming home with this cloud that I refer to, that, we got faith, we speak in existence, exoneration, but we're human. What's the mental health of this? Speak to that.
It was tough then.
Okay.
But then so while incarcerated and fighting, there's some stuff you go through. There's some depression you go through. There's all of that, man. But you have to stay the course. And even with me coming home, I've been home 2 years, 3 months, right? I'll shout out, Yard Time.
Yes,
Yard time, man.
Listen, he was even so much so he was the plug tonight to make sure we communicated.
Yeah. Because my phone went black. I got to get another for something. But Yard Time every Tuesday night, man. Tobin Community Center. The group. We go in. Yard Time is like when I had to discuss something with a brother. If something was bothering me, meet me in the yard. And we'd spend the yard for hours, as long as if the rec was 3 hours, we'd be out there just talking. And so that's what it was about. I get a lot of my stuff dealing with mental health by going to that. I also have a therapist, Crossroads therapy.
Okay.
Crossroads, I don't know the whole, but Donise,
Watson?
Watson, yeah.
Yep. Okay. I know Sister Donise.
Yep. And I got me a Maddie.
Got you a Maddie.
So, and that came from Donise. I was like, yo, we don't meet like we used to meet. And she says, well, Steve, to be honest with you, you're not one of the clients that I really worry about like that.
And knowing her, to know her and her to say that's very solid. And it speaks to the impact of therapy.
And I said to her, like, what do you mean? She said, you got a Maddie.
That's your partner.
Oh, that's my partner.
Yes.
And she is amazing. And I realized through this retreat this weekend that she is my safe place at times. She's my comfort at times.
Yes, sir.
So I got a Maddie. But I still deal with mental health. So 28 years is what I did. 28 years on a wrongful conviction. I was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole, which meant I was going to die in prison. The cell that I was in was basically a tombstone, like what do they call it?
A living tombstone per se, or
what's the
not the mortuary. I know what you're talking
about. Yeah, one of those.
The thing.
Yeah, the thing. So who I was prior to prison had to check that dude in at the door. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Sensitive, the emotional. I was still sensitive and emotional while in college, but not check that at the door.
Yes, sir.
And you go in there with this facade. You gotta, tone and shit. So those are things like you come home And I say this all the time to anybody doing that kind of time. We're wired different. We're wired different.
My response to that is you have to be, because I was getting ready to say when I asked you about the age and Sybil, some of the stuff that you've been through. Sybil was the movie where the girl had the multiple personalities. You remember that? And there was, check it out. It when she would flip or whatever, sometimes she would go into a corner, and people joke about it now, but she would just do this thing. We say sitting in the corner looking like Sybil going, the mental fortitude that brothers, one, going to prison in general, two, to be there knowing that you didn't, and this is, you're wrongfully convicted. The fortitude and the thing that you're still here is, and that wasn't even my intended word, but yes, I'm going to go. The fact that you're still here is amazing, because, bro,
some days are better than others.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? But the question now is, how do I rewire? Like,
you had to rewire going in,
right,
rewire coming out.
Right.
Okay, so let's go there.
So part of my, again, never not working.
Let's get there.
I'm never not working to get back to a normalcy. But here's the thing. What's normalcy look like? Yeah. Because I can't say, is it the normalcy before I went to prison? Because back then I was in the streets. That wasn't normal.
Yep. So
what normalcy? What does that look like? Right? And Darren, you know Darren.
Darren Hall.
Darren Hall.
Yep.
So when I run into people, right, who've done time, one of the things I say to them is, what's your W? Like, your W is your prison number.
Okay.
Mine's just W60009. That's how you identify. That's how you have to sign your name, and W6. That's how they identify you. Everybody that I've walked into, or if I run into guys that have been home 20, 30 years, yo, what's your W? Just like that. So your W number is like the number they stamped on the Jews.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
I ran into Darren at Lambert's, and he sees me. So, Steve, what's up, man? He's like, yo, man, I'm gonna have this thing for my 20 years being home. You know, I want, you know what I'm saying? And I looked at him, I said, yo,
I got to reply to the invitation. Thank you.
I said, what's your W? He looked at me, he was like, I don't remember, bro.
Only because
but when he said that to me, got emotional, my eyes were.
I'm sitting here now because that's like,
because I'm looking at him like, you done reached that normalcy. You done reached that normalcy where you don't even remember your fucking W.
Yeah.
Man.
Yep.
What are you doing? How did you do that? Like, how do you forget that? So that's a normalcy. Like, how do I get that?
Yeah.
Never not working for that. Okay. This has become all inclusive.
Yes, sir.
It started out with the hashtag because I knew hashtag had something to do with something. People hashtag this. So I wanted people to see it. Just said hashtag never not working across. And I wanted people, and people would say, yo, hashtag, what's that? Never not working. And it gave me an opportunity to say, well, listen, man, that's what it took for me to come home from prison.
Yes, sir.
Never not working.
Yep.
I was wrongfully convicted. And people were like, oh my God, let me give you a hug. And I can't believe that. But I wanted them to understand this happens. This is real. You're talking to someone who did 28 years in prison wrongfully. And one of the examples I use, because many people have read Brian Stevenson's book, Just Mercy.
Yep.
And everyone that reads that book that I've talked to, I say, you read that book shaking your head. Like, nah, this don't happen. And they say, yeah, you're right. I said, well, you're looking at someone that happened to. So I needed to let people know this shit exists. It happens. If whites were wrongfully convicted at the rate of us black and brown men, they would be screaming epidemic.
And the system would change.
System would
immediately.
change. Just like it was. Jimmy, heroin was in my community.
Come on.
You understand?
Let's go.
In my community, bro.
Yep.
You could not be on the side. You had to sneak to do whatever you. It gets to the suburbs.
And now it's
an epidemic.
Yep.
Not only is it an epidemic, they don't change the name. Oh, this is an opioid. Nah, nigga, that's heroin.
Yep.
Oh, but it's a mental health crisis. Wrongful conviction is a mental health crisis. When you send young black men to prison for the rest of their lives for shit they didn't do, and then you like, there's a bill that they're trying to pass for the compensation bill. So Massachusetts has a compensation bill, $1 million free education at UMass. That's not enough. First things first, you can't give me enough money
to bring
to make that better.
Yes, sir.
You can't.
Yes, sir.
You give $1 million a fucking year. That doesn't make that better, because not only the mental health of that.
Yes, sir.
My son grew up with his dad in a visiting room. The first time I was ever able to hug my son outside of prison was on March 9th of 2022.
Just 2 years ago.
When I came.
How old is he?
He's 30. So people say, I tell people I'm free but still fighting. Oh, you did 28 years now. Give me all mine. I'm free but still fighting. I'm Commonwealth versus Stephen Pina. So the 2 years and 3 months that I've been home, that's 30 years, 3 months.
Yes, sir.
Give me that.
Yep.
Because I'm still fighting. I'm still Commonwealth. So that's 30 years of a wrongful conviction. My son is just coming around to. We had a good relationship while incarcerated. Mm-hmm. His mother made sure I seen him all the time.
Yep.
But it affected him.
Yes, sir.
I didn't realize how much until years later. So my first appeal, I think he was 5. I'm telling him, yeah, Dad's getting ready to put an appeal. Hopefully I'll be able to come home. And then you get denied. That affected me.
But also.
A 5-year-old.
Yeah. Daddy said.
A couple years later, happens again. I'm getting ready to put this appeal in, get denied. And I remember, like after so many denials, it became devastating. But at the same time, it's like, I'm used to this shit. But I'm not thinking, Jimmy, how that's affecting a 5-year-old.
A 7-year-old, a 9, a 30. Yep.
Your dad's gonna be home by the time you're 16. Because in my mind, I'm like, I didn't do this.
Yep.
Justice is gonna come. So I don't call it the justice system.
Yes, sir.
This is the legal system.
Yep.
Because first and foremost, there's no justice for us black and brown people.
Yes, sir.
But it affected him to a point where he got numb to it. He wouldn't even come to my hearings. Like, I'm not like when he got old enough, I'm not watching nothing dealing with wrongful conviction. Why am I gonna watch some shit on TV that I'm living?
Yeah. And it wasn't that he didn't support you. He just
always supported.
Yep. He just couldn't do coming.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm not. I was released March 9th, 2022. Didn't know I was gonna come home, brother. Like, I wish my phone was working or we could put the video up, but I remember, because it was a COVID time, every one of my hearings was through Zoom. And I remember having a hearing and calling my attorney, and he was like, I said, we got the hearing tomorrow on Zoom. And he's like, nah, the judge canceled it. I'm like, he wants you to come in. He wants you in front of him. And I'm like,
in what? COVID, still dealing with COVID. Yep.
I'm like, for what? He's like, he wants you in person. So I'm like, all right, man. Mind you, we had filed a motion to stay. It got denied the first time. But when it got denied, more stuff started coming up.
Okay.
So he's like, he wants to bring you in front of him. I'm like, yeah, well, I'm not going, man. The lawyer was like, yeah, I know you don't want to go, but you're definitely coming. And I'm like,
I'm getting scared just hearing you say, what if you didn't?
Like, yeah, man, I don't want to. And usually when you go to court, you put on your, visiting clothes and that shit. I woke up that morning, man, got in the shower. I said, I'm not putting on no visiting clothes. I'm going to wear my prison shit, my boots, my jeans, the prison jeans, the prison shirt, and and I'm in the shower, and I'm like, yeah, you're gonna be back here tonight.
You just thought this was
Right,
another
because
just routine.
every time we would have a Zoom, there would always be something
That's Alexa. Don't pay that no attention.
about a change of date. Change of date, like
That
would
they kept
okay. We're
pushing
gonna
it.
right.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
like, man, you gonna bring me to court? I gotta get up 5 o'clock in the morning, strip in front of these damn COs, man. Go to court, sit there all day for him to just do another date, man. Right? I called a couple people, and I'm like, yo, there's possibility. My lawyer says this is a good thing. Why don't y'all come to court? My son came. I remember Jimmy walking into the courtroom, and I seen one person with a light colored sweater, but I didn't see anybody. I didn't see my son. My mom was sick, so she couldn't be there. Sit down. Judge comes in, and the first thing he says when he sits down is like, "Okay, so the new date we're gonna have." I said, "This motherfucker," and I dropped my head, bro. I didn't hear nothing for. It seemed like 45 minutes. I didn't hear nothing because I'm tuned out now.
Yep.
All I know is there's another date. I gotta come back another day.
All this. Yep.
Tuned out. I'm pissed off, and then I hear him say, "Okay, so the dates are set. We have to address another issue." And I kind of like paid it. So we're gonna address the issue of the motion to stay. So I listen. He says, "I'm gonna grant the motion and allow you to go home today."
What in that moment? In that moment, bro.
I dropped my head. I think a tear came down.
It wasn't disbelief. It wasn't
it was that too.
Okay. Yep.
My attorney puts his hand on my shoulder, and with his hand on my shoulder, I can feel his shaking.
Yep.
Whole body shaking, which got me shaking.
Yep.
I put my head down. I didn't hear nothing else for a half hour. You understand what I'm saying?
While they're going back and forth, all the legalities and all that.
And I remember the court officer, when it was all over, people were clapping it like, keep the noise down. They bring me to the back to take me upstairs, and my knees buckled. Court officer, it was like, hey, man, like, what's the first thing you're gonna do when you go home? Have a steak? And I'm like, nah, hug my son.
Mm-hmm.
So I go up to the holding cell, and I'm in there. I'm like, when the fuck they gonna come, man? Like, get up from the seat, walk to the door. I'm looking out the door, go back and sit down. And I'm like, man, it's gonna be. Go back to the door, and I'm looking, and I'm like, that's what I said. Yo, you going home today?
Okay. I thought you thought for a second he was okie doking and all that.
I said,
it hit you.
Home today. I went and sat back down, and I'm sitting there. Now tears are coming. I'm like, yo, you going home today?
Mm-hmm.
Got up, went to the door. I said, man, I don't care what time they come to this door. I know tonight I'm gonna be at my mom's house.
Yes, sir.
So I come, they come and get me, and I'm walking down, following my attorney, the court officers. They open the door, and all you hear is cheers. And my son is at the end, and there's people coming to me, and I'm like pushing, like,
yes, sir.
Move.
Yep.
My homegirl Nikki, who had like been there, like letter writing, conversating on the phone, just my homegirl. We were just really cool. She's sitting with my son. And she's like, there goes your dad. She tells me this later. There goes your dad. And he's looking. She's like, stand up. So he stands up. I see him, and I'm like, yo, he ain't moving. So she's like, Steven, does your dad go? And she kind of gives him a nudge, and he walks to me, and I just grab him, man. And it's like, and all you can hear, like my man TT, yeah, man, hug your boy, cuz, hug your boy, yeah. And my cousin Drew, yeah, man, get that in, man. And Sean Ellis, and I'm hugging my son, man. It seemed like forever. Pulling his face back, looking at him.
Yep.
And I turn around, man, and I think I hugged somebody else. I turn around, I look at Sean, and there's this look. I call him side. There's this look. And people say, damn, man, you was looking at this motherfucker like you was in love with him, like y'all was in a relation. I'm like, nah, you don't understand that relationship. You don't understand that relationship. because this was a dude who battled with me when I was having difficulty with legal shit and would go to him. There's a lot of brothers inside that taught me the law. Mac Hudson, Dwayne Cruther, Guy Smith, Sean Ellis. If I leave anybody out, sorry. But when he came home, he advocated for me.
Yes, sir.
Now, understand, we started this together in 1993. I wasn't supposed to be arraigned in West Roxbury Court. The homicide happened in Mission Hill. I should have been arraigned in Roxbury.
Yep.
He shouldn't have been arraigned where he was arraigned at, but he ended up in West Roxbury. So understand, like, him being accused of killing a police officer, you can imagine how they treated him.
Yep.
And I remember going to arraignment. They put me in this cell, and there's this kid in there, skinny as hell. He's got his hands in his t-shirt, and you can see he's physically cold. And he remembers this better than I do. But he said I ended up giving him my sweater. Like, yo, bro. And he said years later, yo, when we did, he's like, yo, you the dude that gave me my shirt off your back. Didn't know who he was.
Mm-hmm.
I just seen somebody, and I don't, so that bond, when we were both applying for our new trials, it's funny, they brought us in court together. So we're in the holding cell with our suits on, and we're looking at each other like, yo, bro, we started this shit 21 years ago together. We both in here right now on new trial motions. Court officer remembering us from way back.
Yep. Just to clarify, this is in West Roxbury, or
well, this at that point it was Superior Court.
Okay,
but the arraignment happened. The shirt off, the sweater I gave to him
was in West Roxbury, but just the coming after 21 years.
Yeah, and we formed our bond. That was like what, and then he said in his mind, and he told me this later, like when we got to Walpole, like, yo, can't let nothing happen to him.
Yep.
Like, and over the years, the relationship just grew and grew to like, you my brother, like,
yes, sir.
This is my brother. And so to have him advocate for me, and we have this thing we say 22 and 6. 22 years for him, and me coming home 6 years later.
Okay.
So walk out the door and see him standing there, waiting to embrace me when this was a brother I started this with. That's a relationship people will never understand.
Yes, sir.
So, hugging him, hugging my son was, and then like there were so many people at my mother's house, man, that I don't even remember all the people that was there. And I only know some of the people that's there from the videos that were taken. But my mother couldn't come to court. So I remember going home and walking into my building. I grew up at 1850 Washington Street, but my mother now lived in 1820, which is the next building over. And I remember walking and saying, 1850, 1820, I'm in the building as I walk through the door.
Yes, sir.
Tell everybody, yo, y'all go upstairs first to my mother. So my mother's opening the door, people coming in, and she's, oh, you here too? I wait till last. She goes to close the door. But mind you, I'm at the door like this.
Sneaking, being Steven.
Everybody goes in. I'm at the door like this. So as the door closes, I push the door open. She's talking to somebody. She's on the phone. And she turns and sees me, and she drops. Oh, and it's just a whole like, oh my God, my baby, 20. And she grabs me. She's like, 28 years, my baby's, and then you
what
hear
did
my
it feel
voice.
like to your mother's embrace that first time?
Oh man. It felt good, but my son's embrace was better.
Yeah. Ain't mad at it.
And I had to
And
ask.
what would that first time to, now if you got to go, we know you're busy. You just let me know what your time is up to.
Listen, man, you know.
You talked about getting up to him and you kept looking at him. What was his reaction? What was he crying? Was he dad? Was he in disbelief? He was probably.
I think he was in disbelief. Like, this is the first time he hugged me outside of prison, and I don't think it sunk in. Even for the first 5 days, he was actually with me.
Yep.
At my mom's house. I look at videos now and I look at pictures and I see him sitting to the side, just watching.
You think he had given up that was ever going to happen?
He might have.
Yep.
He might have. And I remember the next day, because now I understand, Jimmy, this is the first time me and my son are under the same roof. Never been under the same
roof. And at that time, he was 30?
28.
Okay. So he's basically a man. He's a man. Any children yet?
No.
Okay. So he's a man.
Yeah. And my boy Biggie came knocking on the door at about 5:30, 6 in the morning, because he had just heard. He's knocking on. And
he knew you was up.
I go and I open the door. He's like, yo, let's go to breakfast. And I'm like, what? He's like, let's go to breakfast. I want to take you to, I can't believe you home. Hug. And I said, well, first things first, bro. I'm not going nowhere until my son wakes up and sees me here under the same roof. So we sat in the living room until my son woke up. And I don't know what was going through his mind, because, you know, he's a little introverted. But I think that's something I'm going to ask him. Like, what was, when you went to bed, but he comes out and he sees me, we hug each other, and then we go to breakfast. And for the first
28 years, bro.
28 years.
There's a couple of questions I want to ask. I don't even know what time it is as we get ready to, it's only an hour. We good.
So just so y'all know, right? I heard about Java with Jimmy, and I remember us being at Estella's. Estella's or Stella?
Estella's. Estella, actually, it's Stella.
Ro had invited me there. We sitting at the same table, and I'm just being me, man. And all Jimmy is saying, like, yo, he's cool. Why we ain't never hung out? Why we ain't never?
Because I've seen you, when you were talking about your son, there's a part of me that wants to say I remember seeing a little bit of your journey online. And so I had never got to like hang with you. And so it's interesting because we were talking serious subjects, but y'all didn't get to see the side of him that is just crazy, a little bit of it. But that night, bro, you know, I asked about the mental health thing, but that night I knew that you were either gifted with this extra tolerance, or because again, you know, people like you, Sean, y'all say two, I say Joey. I just don't know. I'm gonna be real. I don't know if I would have had the mental capacity to unequivocally know that I'm wrongfully convicted, and to be in.
I've had people ask me, how do you do it? And I'd be like, what you mean? Like, how do you wake up in here every day knowing you didn't do something? And I've had guys say, like, for me, you know, I had one guy say, for me, bro, like, I did what they said I did. I hate being here, but I understand, like, yo, this is part of the life but for you, how do you do it?
Yeah.
And I'm going to say this to you. So I grew up Jehovah's Witness. My mother was Jehovah's Witness. And this is how powerful Jehovah God is. In the 28 years that I was incarcerated, me and my mother, Jehovah made sure that me and my mother weren't weak at the same time.
Weren't weak
at the same time.
Meaning at either emotionally or sickness.
I would call my mother, man, and there was times when, you know, I cried on the phone.
She was good.
It was in places where people couldn't see me crying.
Okay. Yep.
The phones
in
the corner.
Yep.
And she would always be strong, like, encouraging it. Then there'd be times when I call her and she would be in that state.
You would be the one.
Never, ever were we weak at the same time. think that made a difference.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? It's
How do you feel with the adage, Jehovah's Witness, Christian, whatever? You may have heard in the same circle that a lot of times, what the description Bible says, what the enemy meant for evil, God meant for your good. Had you not went through this,
I wouldn't be who
you are today, and advocating for others. And how do you reason that with yourself, with the and I think it's funny that we say that, it's an epidemic of wrongfully convicted, but I want to be sure that we don't allow that to become such a sexy word that it's so people, it rolls off the tongue now. Like sexy. You know what I'm saying? Yes, sir.
Like it, people need to understand this is an epidemic. The mental health, the trauma that comes from that, man.
Just hearing about it, I got a headache.
Even people, so you got people that aren't wrongfully convicted, but they're doing unjust sentences.
Yeah.
You have a law, a theory, and a rule called joint venture.
Yep.
There's dudes doing life in prison for joint venture. No one should be doing 1 day in prison behind a theory or a rule. If you and I are in a car together and I jump out the car, run down the street, and I shoot somebody, get back in the car, and we get pulled over, the guns in the car, they charging both.
Yep.
But you're saying, well, shit, I didn't get out there. I didn't even know he was going to do that.
We going to store.
So we go, when we going to charge you with murder. All right, well, I didn't do nothing. I didn't know what he was doing. And then you go to court because, he goes to court first and he cops out to a 15 to life. And you're like, okay, well, shit, they got that guy. I didn't do it. I'm going to go to, but the day you go to trial, you find out you're being charged with joint venture. You're being charged with the same thing he's being charged with, even though you didn't do it.
Are there stats, and you probably can answer this, so I'm comfortable asking, what are the stats around the amount of Black and brown men in joint venture?
I don't know. And my lady tells me like, yo, babe, you need to really have this data on your brain for when these questions are asked.
Yep. I can venture to say.
Let's just say there's a lot.
Bruh, yeah. And there's probably disproportionate impacts on us. And even in the legislation of it is probably driven.
So they're trying to get something passed where it becomes a law. Like, yo, you cannot charge guys. There's some things that have happened that have made it easier.
Works again, yeah.
You understand? That helps. But yeah, so you have the injustice of that, the trauma of that as well.
Yep.
So, you figure the guy who actually did it is home while his man who didn't have nothing to do with it is doing life in prison.
I can almost tell you that the numbers are probably more us,
of course,
than others.
Man, listen, man. I don't want to sound racist, man, but white people don't get the same treatment as us, man. That's not unless they poor white.
First of all, you can't be racist. Second of all, it's a known fact that you got money and the right lawyers, the phone calls, the uncles as a judge, and all that other stuff like that. That is not. You ain't got to apologize for that.
It's not. They say sometimes it's not what you know, it's who you.
It's who you know, and that's at a lot of levels. But I getting to know Joey and some stuff, I and hearing some of Sean's story and then hearing everything that everybody talked about that night at RCC, and then I stopped by Brother Supreme's event the other day.
Restorative of Justice.
Yep. And actually, I got to hear from some women, different perspectives. It's unfathomable that this is, and it's still happening. This isn't, while we're dealing with the epidemic ain't went nowhere. In some fact, would you say that it's all COVID's dissipating? Wrongful convictions every day, wrongful convictions and wrongful sentencing.
Okay. So check this out. Came home in 2022. I couldn't go to the Innocence Conference. Every year, the Innocent Network has an Innocence Conference where everybody in the country who has been wrongfully convicted or exonerated is invited to this conference. I couldn't go the first year. I came home 2022 because I had just come home and it was right around the corner. And I remember, I think it was Diamond Darrell Jones, who was another one that was wrongfully convicted, went live and they showed the amount of years. 3,364 years of wrongful conviction of around maybe 500, 600 guys. I went to...
That's an average of about 30 years, right?
No, I think it was 2,000 something at that time.
Okay.
So a year later,
20 years.
2023, Arizona. I was able to go to that one. Now, mind you, in 2022, I cried when I seen the numbers. I don't remember the numbers in 2022, but I remember the numbers in 2023 when I was at the conference. 3,364, something like that. Seeing those numbers, I cried. Went to an innocence conference in March 22nd, 2024 in New Orleans.
And the numbers?
5,560 plus.
So is it, then let's clarify. Is it that the data has now, they've added more, or is that new?
That's 1,200 years of wrongful conviction. Now,
in that short,
amongst about, so at this conference was 700 something. So when you go to the conferences, they call up they show your picture, your amount of years, you say your name, and then you stand up. This year, what they did was they called all the people that had come home within that year to go up on stage. Had to be about maybe 100 guys.
For clarity, is this situations like yours that...
Wait, I said 100 guys, including women.
Thank you.
So at the conference, you get to see
the whole gamut of...
the whole gamut. Latin, Black, Asian. Like, I remember going and there was a dude from Hawaii. There's another dude from Taiwan. Like, it was crazy. Mad women, like,
mostly of color too.
Of course. Yep. You look around the room and it's mostly color.
Period. But even with the women.
Even with the women.
Most of them, is it that additional that came up on stage that year? Is it because of the fighting in the cases? When I made the statement that it's still happening, meaning new cases, you now in 24, the Stevens and the Joeys now, that's still, as much as the legal system is reforming, are you aware or hearing new fights of 20-year-olds?
Listen, bro, it was one of those things that was bitter but sweet.
Yeah.
Bitter because this is 1,200 more years of wrongful conviction. Yep. All these dudes on stage. Sweet because even though they don't come home as often as they should, they're coming home.
Yeah.
Next year, I predict the number will be at like 7,000.
So is it because, go ahead.
The Exonerating Network, New England Innocence Project, sent 4 of us to the Red Sox game a couple weeks ago. Sat us on the Green Mountain. I went, Sean Ellis went, a man named Raymond Gaines, we call him Paps, and a brother named Ray Ray. Ray Ray only been home a few months. But sitting on the Green Monster, I'm going live, and I'm like, yo, they said we weren't supposed to be here. And Sean said, but they lied. 4 people, 130 years of wrongful conviction. I had 22. Sean got 20. I had 28. Sean had 22. Ray had 30. I want to say 32. And Raymond Gaines had 47. whatever the numbers was, it was 130 years of wrongful conviction.
Between four.
I'll tell you this. Anytime there's three of us together, you're looking at 80 plus. The average is probably 85 years. Most times it's over the 100.
Again, my even stating I talked about a headache and whatnot is nothing compared to what you brothers have like lived. And what is being done now to bring more brothers home and to stop your, we don't want to be 20 years from now, 18 years coming home and we're celebrating because they done found out wrongfully convicted. What is it that we can do? What are the elected officials doing around the DA's office? And there's another piece of this, that some of these DAs have the ability just with the swipe of a pen to just. I'm saying some DAs have the ability. You ain't got to say nothing.
No. The power of a prosecutor. They decide what to charge somebody with. And I'm gonna be honest, man. I'm home because we had a progressive district attorney, Rachel Rollins.
Yep. Got to see her this weekend,
and like,
what difference does the DA make? We had this whole campaign we did when she was running.
DA decides what to charge somebody with, if at all.
And what about the role now are these, generally speaking, do most of these cases fall within the district attorney's purview jurisdiction?
Yes.
But the judge is making a decision. But if a DA, the
DA brings the charges. The judge is just a referee. In some cases, just a referee to the game of the court.
But it is helpful if a DA is encouraging and state,
of course,
wrongfully convicted judge. I know you got to do, but I'm suggesting to make a recommendation that this be dropped.
That doesn't
generally speaking. I'm just
that doesn't happen often. That doesn't happen often. You have Larry Krasner. You have progressive DAs like Larry Krasner, Rachel Rollins. There was a sister out of Chicago that they came for. They came for all of them. They even came for Larry, but Larry Krasner is a white dude.
He got
It's a different
comeback.
But they came for the sister in Chicago. They came for I think there was a sister in Florida. They definitely came for Rachel Rollins.
Yep.
And they come for the progressive black and brown.
I'm thinking about
especially the women. But like they decide. It's like they decide who lives and dies. They decide who lives and dies, because a life sentence, if that state doesn't have the death penalty, life without the possibility of parole is a virtual death sentence.
Yeah, you die. The only way you're leaving prison is when they bring you out.
The DAs decide who gets charged. They decide if you live or die.
Some years ago, you talk about Rachel, Larry, the others. Generally speaking, that progressive movement with a lot of intentionality at other levels of informing the system. Where's that progressive movement now?
It's still there.
Okay.
In some places.
We're generally speaking. Yep.
In some places.
In some places. There. In some places not.
But like I said, it depends on.
Understood.
Depends on your melanin, man, sometimes.
Well,
because if you have a progressive white district attorney, there's some pushback. But if you have a black progressive district attorney, there's more pushback.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a black female,
even more so.
Attorney,
yep.
They coming for that ass some way, somehow. Justice reform, and I personally believe that the George Floyd thing, that murder on TV and people being able to see it because they weren't at work.
But that's a microcosm of what happens on the street.
that changed. See, it's a shame that things don't change unless white people get involved.
Yeah.
See, so white people saw that. White people came out and marched.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's now made people open their eyes. Oh, this is injustice. This shouldn't have happened.
My last point was that's what we saw. That's on the street. That's in the front. Imagine the neck of the legal system, the behind the scenes you don't see, the slip, the motion that was just randomly forgot, the piece of evidence your case referred to, all the stuff that happened with Joey, like, and his uncle. And do you believe that the legal system will rectify itself?
Sean said this the other day at the restorative justice thing, and I'm sorry, but I got to, if I get it right or repeat it the way
We'll get the gist.
He said, the legal system ain't flawed.
It's
not flawed. Nope, legal system's not flawed. This legal system
is doing what
was set up to do what it's supposed to do.
I was thinking about the 13th Amendment, and
that is like, yo, slavery, and unless you incarcerated, like, is abolished unless you're incarcerated. Here's where the system is flawed. When you have a progressive DA, see, those progressive people are the ones that interrupt the legal system.
Interrupt. So yeah,
the example Sean gave is, imagine when they had slaves,
mm-hmm.
and the freedom was given to the slaves.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like for these masters or these slave owners to give up their slaves?
Mm-hmm.
They gonna fight.
Viewed as property, and a fifth of a yep.
So the 18th Amendment came, and the way he put it, like Rachel said, and being progressive like she was in dealing with his case, nah, you can't have this slave. Let him go.
And every time, and that the powers that be in the systems, and they can't take that. They can't take that. And
I was probably the last case that Rachel took care of or participated in writing the motion before she got appointed.
At the same level at which that administration moved in cases, are you generally aware of a level set of that advocacy currently?
The progressiveness she had?
Yeah. Okay, we'll leave that right there. We'll leave that right there. We'll leave that right there.
Yeah, leave that one. Leave that alone.
I want to do you justice, but my eyes, there's comments. We can go back and check them. But I'm going a little bit of self-care, because the aggravation that just hearing your story and the system and knowing that it just, so it's not gloom and doom. We just have to make sure when we have progressive district attorneys, we have to get out and support them. We also,
Indeed.
Outside of the district attorney, what else can, like, the everyday resident, what can we do? I'm sure we can donate to the different.
You can donate to the New England Innocence Project. You can donate to the Exonerate Network. They're on Instagram and Facebook, New England Innocence Project, Exonerate Network, on all platforms. These donations, man, will help them fight for guys like me. So when Meek Mills got locked up, right? It was that guy, Rick Rubin? From the Philly? Okay, so
Philly, the guy, yeah, and the Kraft
and all of them came out, supported Meek Mills. Nothing wrong with that. I sat in my cell and I watched this, and I watched Robert Kraft with Meek Mills, and I sat down and I wrote a letter to Robert Kraft, and in my letter I described that there are men that are in the same situation as Meek Mills that don't have the fame and money to get that kind of support and representation. And that when you think of New England, you think of the New England Patriots. There are 3 organizations that deal with wrongful conviction in Massachusetts: New England Innocence Project, CPCS Innocence Program, and BC Innocence Project.
Are they being supported?
They are, but how much more brothers would come home if they had the same amount of money and representation
that Meek had?
See,
Meek Mills, those other brothers don't bring the notoriety and the news clips.
But see, why does it take a Meek Mills to bring the notoriety? Why can't just a Steve Pina? Sean Ellis brought some type of notoriety to it because of Trial 4.
Yep.
It opened the, people were able to see that. But then you have people that see Trial 4 and say, yeah, that's an isolated incident. That's an isolated, that happened to him, but does that really? Yeah, that's that one guy. Nah,
he's living.
I'm living proof of it. He's living proof of it. So when you got a billionaire who has this kind of money, who could donate to a New England Innocence Project, CPCS Innocence Project, BC Innocence Project, to fund it so that there are more, because there's more people asking for help than there are attorneys.
And these, it's interesting because presumably a lot of these law students, attorneys, and a lot of professors, my understanding is, take on a lot of these cases in academic settings. They're looking at one case and then it's like, that's why Joey wants to go and talk to somebody, and you should too, some of these law professors, because they're informing the next generation of lawyers who may become DAs. You got to look at things differently.
I've spoken at a few. I've spoken at Northeastern, Simmons College, Brandeis University, BU, Northeastern. And when I talk to these law classes, man, and I tell them, some of y'all may want to be prosecutors, because morally and ethically you want to change the system. You want to do something about it. And you may go into that office with that mindset. I'm going to make this better. But if you're not working under a progressive district attorney,
and that is the thing about, we learned in the thing, because a lot of the discretion that's left to the ADAs, if it's not in writing, it's left to a discretion if they don't understand. I sat with Judge Mark Kantowitz in West Roxbury of all courts, in juvenile court. And I remember days where I saw the judge make a decision, or a DYS worker make a decision for somebody, and it set the trajectory for the rest of their life. And every once in a while, he would look at me and ask my advice. Well, I knew I could say something and help that young person out, when I knew that sometimes I would try to figure out a way not to say anything, because that weight of somebody's decision. So your ADAs and your DAs and the professors, my point about the funding that you was talking about is these real commitment is needed from folks and allies, besides after the marching, write a check. Because a lot of these law students are up all hours and whatnot, and they're not being compensated and being paid. But then there is the fees that come with the labs and all. And some may do it just out of principle, but let's keep on. They got a bottom line. You know what I'm saying? And they've got to do stuff 10, 12 times to make it So I don't want to.
And you say, how can you help? One, you can help by, of course, donations. But you can also help by voting. Go out and vote. Your vote can make a difference, man. Also, jury duty, man. A lot of us black and brown men go to trial, man. They say you go to trial, the jury of peers. My peers don't live in West Roxbury.
No.
My peers don't live in Waltham. My peers live in the hood.
Yep.
So when you get a jury slip to report to jury duty, understand you make a difference. Yeah, the DA makes a difference on who lives or
But
dies.
you can too.
But you can make a difference, because you know how the legal system works.
And you're a peer. I remember my first jury experience was, and I knew that, but not experienced, but I knew it was supposed to be of your peers. And I sat there, and when I walked out of the people remaining, it was a black man. I didn't see not one black man that was in the final for that,
And I think that's systematically done.
Of course, my boy live in Roxbury, got a invite the other day and got sent to Chelsea. And so why wouldn't that be in Roxbury or, so.
Because they look at it, that's part of Suffolk County.
Yeah,
But
I get it, but.
People from Chelsea need to sit on Chelsea juries.
Yep.
People from Roxbury
need to sit on Roxbury
juries. You know what I'm saying? People from West Roxbury, Hyde Park, they need to sit on those juries.
Yep.
Or it's just, there should be more black and brown faces in the jury pool than white faces.
So y'all are hearing that if you get the jury ask, don't, and I know some people, there's some religion, there's some valid issues, but more than likely some people just don't want to go through the process. I used to be one of them. It's very different now when you get that invite or when you get that summons.
You make a difference.
Definitely.
You know what I'm saying? So it's important that you do your jury duty, man.
I'm about to text this dude upstairs. Anyway,
I wish we could see like if there's some questions or
we can and we can't. I would be all in the all up in the camera. I can try to fix it. What we can do is let me finagle a 30-second break. And a minute break. We'll be right back with y'all in a couple of seconds. Actually, take this. We've talked about a lot tonight, and I want to remind our brothers and our sisters just who they are. So listen to this very positive message from Kathy Drain at the first Black Joy event back in 2020, sponsored by the Black Joy Movement with Daddy Smiles. Here you go.
I just want you to embrace it. Because when I first started this weekend was supposed to be a weekend of healing. And that weekend of healing came from my sister, Kathy Durant, who's a resident service coordinator in one of the housing communities here. Is an amazing, amazing sister that does some amazing work in the community. Started the first Freedom School here in Boston and in the state, and is doing some amazing work. So I just want to give her an opportunity to talk about Black Joy and what it means to her, and to open us up. So, Sister Kathy, I'm calling everybody sister, brother, but Queen Kathy.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you. So, when I think of Black Joy, before I was doing community work, I was in theater. So you all have to bear with me. I use a lot of movie references. So when I think of Black Joy, two scenes come to mind. Y'all know Beloved? You remember that scene when Baby Suge was in the field and she said, "Children laugh. Men dance, women weep for the living and for the dead." When I think about that scene, for me encapsulates what Black Joy is. When we remember that our responsibility is to create the space where our children can laugh, where they can experience innocence that the world sometimes denies them. When we remember that our men, beautiful Black men, can dance, that they don't have to always bear the burden of being stoic, that they can dance and we can revel in their joy. And our women that, baby girls, we can weep. We don't have to be strong. And even in that weeping, we still are powerful, we still are capable, and we still will make things happen. So that's the first scene. The second scene that means so much to me, and I know we're all still grieving the loss of Chadwick Boseman, is y'all know in Wakanda, in the scene in Black Panther where M'Baku is kicking his butt, and Queen Mother says what?
Remember?
You got it, James? What do you say?
Remember who
Say
you
it loud.
are. Remember who you are.
Remember who you are. Remember who you are. The underneath Black joy, underneath our essence, what makes us a powerful community is that no matter what they put before us, our strength comes from remembering who we are. We are the children of those who survived the slave ships. That's who we are. We did not die. Though we falter, we remain faithful. And every day that we can connect to one another and remember that, and even if you don't know your brothers and sisters in this community, if you can do that, if you can look them in the eyes on the days when it's tough and it's hard and we're trying to figure out how to make it better in Roxbury and Dorchester and Mattapan, if you see somebody that looks like they need to hear that, just give them that look and say, remember who you are. Remember who you are. And so for me, that's Black joy. It's what makes us it's our melanated existence. And as long as we can hold to that, we will be successful no matter what is thrown at us. Black joy, remember who you are.
Thank you, Kathy. So up next to give us a few words of encouragement is my brother Conan. In the last Black Joy event we had.
Hey everybody, we're back with our good brother Stephen. We're going to get ready to wrap up a little bit, but we talked about how people can help, they can donate, they can encourage people. And then this, this is a lot of federal legislation, but state legislation, and a lot of our elected officials on the state level and the county level, I don't know about the county right now, but on the state level, our state reps, our state senators, they have some role in this as far as legislation, correct?
Of course.
Is there any legislation that folks need to get behind right now? I know there's always a few bills.
There's a couple. There's one on, getting rid of life without parole. There's one in the compensation bill that they're trying to work on. There's some other stuff I can't remember off the top of my head.
Okay. You got a lot on your head,
bro. I just came back from a retreat, a workshop, man, that the Exoneree Network had for us brothers and sisters that were wrongfully convicted, overly sentenced, man, and it was work, So, from that, I came here. So, when
you about to go,
I'm going to relax, bro. It was, it's something. But
we get that shirt from.
Oh man, so. Man, your boy never not working merchandise. Get at your boy, man.
You need some red.
No, I'm gonna get you. No, I'm gonna get you a red one. But the one I got on, I made this, man. Never not working for themselves to just get their 18 on the back of this, man. It has the number 18 on it, man, in gold, like that glitter, because they was never not working.
And they got
to get that championship, to get that chip, and they got it.
If you had an opportunity to speak to those brothers that right now have the world's attention, what would you say to them as far as their and not saying that they're not, especially Brother Jalen, but what would you say to them if you had a few minutes to guide their social justice movement between now and Banner 19?
There's so much to talk about. The 13th Amendment, but not even but. However, I advocate for wrongful conviction. I need people to get behind it. Let's make this an epidemic. Let's make this an epidemic. Let's make this something that goes from seldomly talked about to always talked about. Let's bring our brothers home, man, because people say, oh, the little 5% that's in it, that don't matter. But there's a saying, let 1,000, I'm gonna say 1,000 guilty men go free before one innocent man stays in prison. You understand what I'm saying?
I do.
So I need some of these brothers, man. The work they're doing is great.
Yeah. Yep.
It's great work. I would love to be in a room with some of these Celtics players, man. Wanting to get my shirt signed. But to really let's talk about, let's bring some of the brothers that did this time unjustly, wrongful. Let's bring them in the room with some of these brothers and have them get behind some of the initiatives, man.
A couple of hours, not just the game and signature. And that's not so much the players. That's if this gets to anybody, set a couple of hours aside where they can have real conversations. Steve and Joey, Sean.
Reach out on social media, man. Instagram, Pina, sr.s. Stephen Pina Sr. on Facebook. Reach out to Jimmy if you want to connect with us, brothers.
We'll get them.
This goes for the Patriots. I heard that they have when the season starts, every Monday they have a social justice group or whatever. I would love to be in that room, but I'm going to say this because my sister Jackie, Fuquan's queen, said this. We went and did a thing at Northeastern. How many people came out for this Celtics parade? Do you know?
They said over 1 million.
Okay. I've heard it was 1.5. I'm going to say this. October 2nd is Wrongful Conviction Day. Nationwide, October 2nd is Wrongful Conviction Day. We will be marching at the State House. I mean, damn. Let's get a 1-point-something million people out. I'll even take 100,000. I'd love, realistically, to have the streets blocked off about wrongful conviction, because that's how serious it is. Let's have parades and marches when these wrongfully convicted brothers come home. The media will have them on front page news, plastered all over the like a Sean Ellis, plastered all over the damn news about what he did. Have that same energy, man, when a brother comes home. The same way you plastered them or him or her all over the news, do the same thing, man. You know what I'm saying? Again, Wrongful Conviction Day, man, October 2nd.
It's in the calendar.
It's going to be at the State House. Let's get out there and vote, for progressive legislators, for progressive DAs, progressive mayors and governors who want to do something about this criminal legal system. Let's make it happen, man. No innocent man should spend 1 day in prison, man.
That covers.
No, what you gonna say?
I was going to say wrongfully convicted and also over sentencing. It's just, I know somebody at the programs that you named. I know somebody has the numbers, but along with the donate and whatnot, and that's one of the reasons that on a Sunday at 7:00, we're sitting here having this conversation, because a lot of people learned some stuff tonight. They see the clips in the story and all that other stuff, but the impact on your son and the joy that your mother saw, they don't get to see that.
Yeah, I might have to post that video, man, of me coming home. I've done it a few times, posted the first time I got to hug him 3 years into my sentence, when I was able to have a physical visit, and the journey from that
to the hug
March 9th outside, of prison. And people may get tired of me talking about this, Jimmy.
All right.
I'm going to talk about it. 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 If you don't like it, that's on you. Shame on you. Because this is a real epidemic. As Jackie says, or my man Fuquan says, this could be you, it could be your brother, it could be your sister, it could be your father, it could be your mother, it could be you who gets wrongfully convicted.
And truth of the matter, it is, I think a lot of people in our community aren't more than 2 or 3 people away from somebody who's wrong. And whether they know that, there's a population of folks that don't know. Let's not talk about our Black and brown immigrant community that have come in and just, so tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Stephen, I appreciate you. I agree with you. My saying about timing is everything.
Yes.
And we've been talking about this, and this is the time. The other part about this is for our young people that are on the fence, it's summer. Very different situation. You weren't in, but you did reference to being in the street, brought attention to that, the officer that used to mess with you. If you could talk to some young people right now that are on the line of potentially doing some stuff to potentially be wrongfully convicted or over sentenced, what would you say to them? And it's after dark. You can say whatever you want.
Understand your life can change in a matter of seconds. Even if you ain't doing something, man, the person you're around may be doing something. You can get jammed up for that.
Joint venture.
I do understand that the city doesn't have the money they can for jobs for these youth. That's a whole other subject that I've heard, and they had meetings about, the mayor giving
the youth are good. It's the
$69 million
with the
budget. Let's turn that money to, because I before I got locked, they had BNBL.
They had it's funny because we had. Did you ever do Summer Works? Did you ABCD?
No.
Never did ABCD.
No.
They had BNBL. So it's my observation. I'm not in direct service no more, but from what I'm understanding, youth are straight. 18 and under, they're straight. The young people that we're talking to right now, they're not going in your community center. It's that 19 to 25, 30.
Yeah.
Venture now, bro, to say it used to be 24.
It's this, everybody wants money in their pockets, man.
Yep.
But there's so many things going on that prevent young men and women from getting these good jobs, man. Because I'm gonna tell you something. If you go to prison, you're gonna be working for $1 a day. So if you feel beneath yourself to work for
at McDonald's or
$15 an hour or whatever the minimum wage is,
mess around.
You go in there behind that wall, man, you're gonna be working for $1 a day. So I implore you to, look at life. Look at what you're doing and strive. If you're doing good, continue to do good. If you're trying to, whatever you want to be, you can be. You just got to put the work and effort into it, man. Like, if you can't get a job, create a job. My man owns an auto detailing. A couple of my mans own an auto detailing truck where they clean people's cars. They make good money, man. Another friend of mine got a pressure washer business. He goes and cleans trash cans for people, man.
Making good money,
right,
their own boss, set their own vacation.
You can hustle and legally hustle, man.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And again, money ain't everything. Everybody wants it, but it's not everything. The more money you got, the more problems you got, man.
Yeah, he said it.
So, get a mentor. Find someone who, find a Jimmy, man. Find a Jimmy and be like, yo, how can, what can I do? Like, I need your advice. Find an older person who's doing good, man. I mean, some of y'all go to your local politicians and tell them, listen, man, I need a mentor. You know what I'm saying? Like, help me help myself.
On that note, we're going to get ready. There was a comment that just came up on Instagram. They need to get an education too, but also, opportunities and sensitivity to a lot of these young people.
You know who that is?
Who?
That's my Maddie.
That's
That's my Maddie, baby. Listen, man, that's
and
my
they need
Maddie.
to get an education too. Maddie, you got a nice little shout out earlier, so you want to do it while she's on live now? Well, she may have been commenting before, but
that's my baby, man. And I appreciate everything she does for me, with me, pushing me, man, to help me be a better person. And listen, it's not just her. Like I have my cousin Drew, my brother Scientific, who's Sean Ellis, my man Gumby, there are so many other brothers, my man TT, these are brothers that allow me to find my way, but are there when I need, when I need direction.
Yep.
My cousin Drew, I'll call him and be like, yo, cuz I'm going through, and he'd be like, welcome. Meaning welcome.
Yeah.
Because 2 years, 3 months ago, you was in a cell on the phone with me, wishing you had certain things.
Yeah.
Wishing you had responsibility. Now that you got it, don't complain about it.
Deal with it.
Welcome.
You need those like accountability in love. Those accountability partners.
You need them.
Conan and Thaddeus and who else? They were all talking about.
Listen, man, Conan watched me, right? And I told Conan the other day, yeah, I got a mentor, man, named Dominique who helps me. But I told Conan, man, he watched me for a while when I came home. And one day I get a call. He's like, yeah, it's time. Time for what? It's time for
You're
you to,
not the only.
it's
So
time
I'm not
for
the
you
only
to,
one to get phone calls about. We about to do something.
It's time for you to pull up to my office. We need to talk. And me and him had a 2-hour talk. It set me straight on some things. Every time I see him, he says like,
yeah.
So I said to him the other day, I said, yeah, bro, I'm gonna need you as a mentor.
It's time. Now it's time for him.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
He said, bro, call me anytime. Okay, cool. Be careful what you wish for.
Cody's going to laugh. They're going to laugh. Yo, this dude has an
Yo,
infectious laugh that you would not think.
You, man. Because in my trauma, right?
Yes, sir.
In my trauma, in all of our traumas, man, we have to find time to laugh.
Yeah.
I don't do it all the time. My baby always tells me, Maddie always says, well, you get with your friends and but I laugh with her as well. Sometimes it's difficult to laugh.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't know what it's like to be happy because I ain't been happy in such a long time. I'm learning that now. They took my GPS off, man, so I'm able to travel, man, and that was a weight off my shoulder. But I got to say this too. So I know we limited on time. People need to understand, like, when you're doing the time that I'm doing and you're wrongfully convicted, there's a weight that's on your shoulders. That when you come home, that weight comes off your shoulders. But then you got the weight of culture shift. That's another weight, which you have to gradually work to get off you. And the people in your community. And when I say community, I'm not talking about Roxbury, Dorchester, Mattapan.
In your immediate circle.
I'm talking about in your community of friends, your community of people that love you, man, will help you to remove some of that weight. And sometimes they may, like Sean Ellis, I call him Cy, and my cousin Drew, man, they say to me all the time, you don't listen. So what they did was, this is what they did, Jimmy. And they told me, we just had to sit back and be like,
he's gonna learn for himself.
But when you make the call, we there.
Yeah.
But we got to let you find your way.
Yep.
And they've done that.
Yeah.
And I'm finding my way.
Yes, sir.
I'm realizing, like, yo, bro, now it's time to buckle down. Now it's time to have some structure.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? Yep. Waking up anytime, coming out. No, it's time to have structure and build yourself, build your brand, build your business. And I tell people all the time, never not working ain't just a brand, man. It's a movement.
Lifestyle.
No, it ain't no life. This is a movement.
Okay. Yes,
because it's it has become all inclusive. You're never not working, right, to have Java with Jimmy be as successful as it can be. You probably never not working on your mental health or whatever it is. All of us are never not working at something. My son says to me, Dad, you don't take, I don't never not working. I said, listen, never not working doesn't mean that you constantly working physically all the time. If you're business orientated or if you're a progressive thinker, even when you ain't doing something, your mind is working. So you're never not working. If you in the gym, you never not working to get fit. If you are a case manager, you're never not working to help your client become a better person. I'm never not working to get back to normalcy, and I'm never not working to make sure or to find a way that when my brothers and sisters come home to be successful. If you're a business owner out there, and I got to put it out there, if you're a business owner out there and you looking to hire some brothers, plenty of brothers, man, we just need you to look past the Corey. Give them a shot. You'll be surprised at the work they do. If you are a person who has real estate, man, there are brothers coming home that don't have places to go. Offer some property, man. Offer a room, apartment, something, man, so that these brothers can come home, have a place to rest their heads, because that's a big part of coming home. Person don't have a job, a person don't have a place to rest his head and have some type of comfort. Like, you know what it was like for me to get my own apartment. Shout out to Leslie Credo, man, from Justice for Housing, to be able to open my door, walk in and say, this is me. That takes a lot of weight off a brother's shoulders, a brother's sister, man. So if you're in a position to do that, offer those things up, offer jobs. That's important.
I'm not being rude. I'm actually texting the real estate friend right now.
Listen, bro, you know,
I got to do it in real time.
If you rude to me, brother, I'm going to let you know about it. I'm going to let you know about it. Java with Jimmy after dark, Jimmy and Steve after dark. We never not working and
percolating.
I got to say, right, not only do we have never not working under the umbrella of never not working, is other side of the wall, we bounce back. And I remember when I started doing that as well, Maddie said, baby, this ain't just about incarceration. My Maddie again. I said, what you mean? She said, there are people behind the wall of addiction, depression.
Maddie got a little word with her.
Homelessness,
yep,
sexual assault,
yep,
and trauma.
Yes, sir.
When those people are able to get past that, yep, they bouncing back. My bounce back is amazing, y'all. Some of y'all might hate, but I don't care. I need y'all to congratulate. My bounce back is other side of the wall. I bounce back, man. I'm bouncing back. I got the help to bounce back. And don't be afraid to ask for help. We have Mental Health Awareness Month. Mental health awareness all year long, man, all year round, man. There are people in your family that are suffering from mental health. They don't know how to ask for help. But if you see them going through something, reach out.
Besides talking.
Yeah, reach out. Reach out. Let them know you're there for them. And for you brothers and sisters that are going through something with your mental health, don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't let your pride, man, cause you to be in a situation that is not going to work out for you. You know what I'm saying?
Words of wisdom from this good brother. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, I did too. We got to do it again.
We do have to do it again. He has some ideas that if I can just get some other things settled, you might be hearing something from him in the fall.
Next time though, right? I'll Uber over here, right? So we can sit here and have our little cocktail.
A little espresso martini?
Yeah.
For after dark?
Make espresso after dark. Espresso martini. Yeah.
Thank all of y'all that tune in tonight on Twitter, y'all. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, wherever you're tuning in. We didn't see questions. We saw a lot of love. Mama Java, Chris Sumner was in the room along with some others. Maddie over on Instagram, along with Jalen Bridges. I'm trying to see some names from over here, and some of y'all names on Instagram I will never ever figure out. Brave Boston, shout out to just join, but we get ready to wrap up. But you can go watch the after watch. These stay evergreen on all platforms except Instagram. But we'll probably convert this over to a podcast as well. So, Brother Steven, don't forget Never Not Working.
Never Not
Check
Working.
them out.
Get your Celtics Never Not Working 18 joint. I'm getting ready to modify it. Add
for 19.
No.
Next year?
You know, I got to put the trophy under the 18.
Okay, yeah.
You know, for those true Celtics
and
fans.
I need a extra large.
One. I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, if I came in here with, I was gonna bring a pink one because pink is close to red. Or should I say salmon or salmon? Yeah.
Mauve.
Yeah, I don't wear pink, but I wear salmon.
He came in here with blue, and y'all know y'all be joking with me about blue, but no. This is dope.
It ain't no gang thing, man. Blue is just my favorite color. This was the second hoodie color. Was that gun?
No, that's the JJ.
Oh, the JJ. The J.
Don't be doing
I'm just saying the J. You know, Java with Jimmy, Java after dark.
Listen, this was you, Exit Fame. I had the covered by music a few weeks ago. Covered by music?
No.
Exit.
Shout out to Exit Fame.
Oh God, yeah.
Shout out to Mathematics.
They had an event today, and they did well by playing in theirs in the Bruce Bowling. Okay. It started raining, so I think they were still good. But you and Exit Fame have been two of my favorite after dark. It used to be like just talking trash and
we should have a 3-man
sit down.
Yeah.
You got to bring mathematics too.
Bro, it wouldn't. You can't have Exit Fame without mathematics.
So let's look at doing that in August.
For all my brothers coming home, man. Yard time.
Shout out to the
every Tuesday, man. Tobin Community Center, 6:30 to 8:30. Come on down. You're welcome. Get this mental health, relief, man. You know what I'm saying? Come get this relief. Come, even if you don't say nothing, man. You may hear something that another brother went through that you going through, and it'll help you recognize what you're going through. Shout out to Joey Bennett, man. Too. I love you for bringing y'all time to the forefront, brother. And mental health awareness is real, man. Let's get it.
You know, another Planet of the Apes just came out.
Yeah,
it's about to be a wrap.
No. He said that was the worst one, man.
He did?
He said that was the worst one.
No, because all right, you get this. When I saw the advertisement for the new Planet of the Apes, I almost dropped my phone trying to text him. I was like, yo, because you
matter of fact, this is the type of stuff that Yard Time does, right? So as a group, they went to see. Yeah. As a group, we have gone bowling together. As a group, we've gone to Putt Shack. Mm-hmm. And just so y'all know, when we went to Putt Shack, Fast Steve, your boy won. Yeah, your boy won.
Steve about to come out.
But nah, this is the type, like, you know, when the Celtics game, the group was going to watch the Celtics game at different places, man, sports bars. But this is what Yard Time does. It brings us together, man, and not just in work, not just in working on our mental health, but being in places, man, where we can relax.
Yep. Joy.
And have fun. So again, Yard Time, man. Appreciate you, Joey, man. I love you, bro.
He again, just from that level, and even today when I, needed to get some info real quick, I hit him, and he called twice and updated, and so that's just the character.
Yeah, because my phone went black a couple days ago, man, and
that might be a blessing in disguise.
No, bro. It is, because what it did is it had me realize, like, I ain't have a phone before, like, not a phone like this.
Yeah.
And I have a phone for 28 years. I came home, man. I got on this phone, and I've become so dependent on this phone for every damn thing. And I think it going down, like, right now is like, yo, this is a thing to like, yo, put it down.
I'm going to believe when that phone come back on, it's going to be a message or email that you see, and we'll be doing another show.
I mean, listen, man, it's,
Y'all mother's board, y'all know what to pray for. I appreciate everyone that tuned in tonight. And Steve, I appreciate you, man, because these inform me anywhere where I have intersectionality with the people I have, influence or access to be able to like, where are we with this? Where are we with that? And so I thank you for your transparency and authenticity, because there's somebody out there right now that has somebody that they're supporting or going through it themselves. And so I know you've given hope. You just, by the fact that you in your right mind, give me inspiration.
I'm looking at Maddie's comment.
Oh, what she said?
Right, because I talked about the weight.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
She commented the weight of those I left behind. I do what I do, man. I'm one of the original members of the Harriet Tubman Project, original founders, which is something that Brother Fuquan created inside. Mm-hmm. Teaches brothers about law and how to advocate for themselves. And the concept and the goal of the Harriet Tubman Project is to go back and get somebody. The same way Harriet Wayne got slaves. Go back and get somebody. My advocacy, man, is my way of going back to get somebody. People, like I said, people don't get involved if they don't know. They need to know about the injustice that's going on. They need to know about wrongful conviction. The Harriet Tubman Project does that. So shout out to them as well.
I forgot who set it up. I think it was James Mackey, a couple other folks. Early on, we did like an after dark or something. They were able to get him on. So he's been on the show before. Yeah. And called in. So strength his way. I hear a lot of brothers speak about him. What's the name of the brother while we're name some names that are waiting and fighting? Like who do people need to have on their radar?
Raymond Gaines, man, 47 years, bro, that he did. He's waiting. Free but still fighting. There's was a Paul Robinson. He just wrapped his case up, man. Okay.
And young brother Joey, when we were at RCC, he had his picture up, light-skinned brother. I can't remember his name.
When was that? What? Recently?
When we was at RCC, Joey
I think that might be Fuquan.
Okay.
Oh, no. You talking about Powerful.
I think so. What's his
Odair Fernandez.
Yes.
Another brother, man.
We can't be
Yeah. Odair Fernandez,
Joey
man. There's a lot of brothers, man. My man Hun Nook, Asian T, we call him. Brother named Smoke. I can't remember his name, but he's from Cambridge, man. Brother on a joint venture. My man Earl Fulgen, man. Yay. There's so many brothers, man, that are inside, man, that are trying to get home, man. So many. I'd be here for a long time naming them, but let's get to it, man. Let's get into it. There's a new website on Facebook called We Are Joint Venture. There's another one, Tudu Juthu. And if you Cape Verdean brothers out there or Cape Verdean sisters, y'all know that means come together. They have a website they have a Facebook page called Tudu Juthu. Look it up, TUDO or U and DJUTO or U. Tudu Juthu.
Wait a minute.
Come together.
I'm about to ask you a dumb question. Pina, and you just said Tudu Juthu. You Cape Verdean?
I'm Cape Verdean, bro. I don't speak it.
Do you cook it?
Nah, bro.
All right, thank y'all for joining us tonight, Steve. Good. The Monzupa. Oh my God! I got to get over to Cesaria's on a Sunday for brunch.
So any of you sisters out there, man, that kick that Cape Verdean food, man, hit us up, man, on Instagram. Cook us up something. Your mamas and your Cape Verdean mamas cook up something good for us, man. We appreciate it. We'll be right here at this table eating that conchupa, man.
We need a bigger table than this one.
Man, listen,
boys, bro.
For real, brother.
Thank you. I said we.
You ain't.
Dude. Look at that.
Bro, no, nope. Stop.
All right, time to go to a commercial break.
Peace, y'all. Jimmy, thank you for having me on here,
bro.
man.
I appreciate you, man. And we're gonna talk that night of the Stellas did it. I was like, yo, I told you, I said, yo, he's cool as fuck. Hi, Ma. I don't know if I'm gonna be on tomorrow.
Mama Java.
It's vacation week, holiday week. So I'm probably gonna be here at 9 just to recap tonight and catch up on some other things. But tune in tomorrow at 9 a.m. Do you have anything coming up, a date or event or?
Nah, man.
Okay.
Do
you vend anywhere when you go?
Well,
where can folks get?
I was vending, but what I found out is that people want all this money for vending tables, and they don't have the
audience to make you to make the money back.
So I'm focused on it, but I'm focused on other things as well, man. As far as getting myself together and growing my business in a different way. But yeah, I do want to stop vending. I do want to,
So if you all having some events coming up and you want to offer this brother an opportunity to come with a table, and this is with a message, reach out to him on Instagram at
Pina SR.S and other _ side of the wall. But understand that some of the proceeds are donated to the Exonerate Network and the Innocence Project that come from sales.
So you're a social entrepreneur, social justice entrepreneur.
Working, of course.
Yep. All right, we could be here for another hour. I really enjoy talking to you. You do kind of therapeutic for me tonight. I might have to holler at you.
We got to get therapy any way we can, brother.
Man, we'll be here another hour. We're getting out of here. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Have a great day, everybody, and we shall talk to you soon. Peace.
Peace.